What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope everybody is doing absolutely fantastic. I hope today is a little more exciting than yesterday. Yesterday, I was like bored. I was like, this is some tight ranging moves on the markets. We do got some stuff to go over today. So we'll see. But I'm just equally excited that we got Albert in the house. Good morning to you. We got Bill, Cindy, David, Julie's in the house. Good morning to Jason, Joe, Kevin, Stone. Gonna rock with us. Good morning to Lauren, Lucian, Marius, Miguel, Micus. Good morning to Paul, Rick. We got Tim in the house. All my peeps out of YouTube land. We got No Till, Trade with Champ. Good morning to Liza, Raja. Good morning to all my lurkers in the background. It's okay. I still love you. Just hit that like and subscribe button. And if you think there's somebody that you can share the content with that would find value, that's always appreciated as well. But we made it through the Nvidia conference. I think it was about an hour, 45 minutes last night after the bell, which I was confused with times. They were telling me it was, well, they were saying it's a 3-day event, so I don't know if there's more continuation, but we had Jensen, the CEO, was the one speaking last night for a good portion of the conference. Very, very technical conversations. So, I mean, he lost me at GPU, and then that was it for me. But it sounds like some crazy things. He did throw out some names of some other companies they're working with. They all popped as soon as he said it, and then they all pretty much faded down. So nothing too crazy there. SPY is gapping down. A little bit of a retest gap. Still in this channel. So overall, I mean, this is the channel that we're in. Just little box right there. That's it. And from that point, let's find our little support resistance for the day. Again, this is a retest gap. Could we go down a little bit further first? Possibly. First level that I have is 510.91. That has obviously been kind of retested already. So it's a zone, probably a little bit to the weaker side. The next one down takes us to 509.69. That comes down from this little gap down on Friday. We've given pretty much that nice little opening range back up from yesterday, and we're sitting right back into the top of Friday's candle. So we'll see how that 509.76 holds. After that, I do have a moving average, which we did survive on once. And I think we are in a little bit of just kind of consolidation, profit taking again. I don't think the big recession and big crash is here. Not yet. It's too early for that. There'll be a time. There'll be now everyone's just in pure fear and panic. What you say? Oh, he said there's going to be a time market crash. That's what he said. I heard him. But we're still here. We're still just chopping sideways. We still got some of these moving averages to catch up. So we'll let it hang out. We'll let it hang out and do its thing. I would prefer at open for a little tiny sell-off, like just okay. And then when we bounce, we do have Fed tomorrow. So as much as I don't want it to be kind of like yesterday where it was just difficult to find any real good setups. The day before the Fed has been, at least recently, a very, very quiet day as well. And I think for the most part, we know what Jerome Powell will be saying tomorrow. I think the market is putting in like a 96% chance that it is no change to the rates. But then it comes down to what the wording is and how he's putting his spin on it. Does he still look like everything is kind of running bullish? And I think that's going to be the key part of tomorrow. But it is going to be a relatively big day tomorrow. So a little pause here after the market has been moving like crazy. Could make a little sense. We have Qs. So gap down. We will get to a little bit more on Nvidia, and we'll take a look at some of the sympathy plays around it. But Qs are gapping down as well. Also retest gap from yesterday. So I would probably expect the buy to the dippers to come in at some point. They haven't really done it yet. And we did sell the rips after, like, if the Nvidia conference was about 2 months ago, everything that was popping would probably still be up. Here we've popped and we've given everything kind of just right back. Really, really one of the first signs of sell the rips that I've seen in a while. But that's where we're at. We got one level of support down here on the Qs, 430, 430. If we start to break it, we do have another one, 433.23. That's already been hit, so that's a little bit weaker. So my next real target probably takes us to about 431.18 if the selling gets a little bit more ugly today. And it could happen. Could happen. We'll check out TLT. Leonard says AMD's gapping down. Yeah, SMCI as well. Anything in the chip sector is down quite a little bit. TLT. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row red. We do have a little gap up, and we did bounce and kind of hit that last little support. We were talking about that one, I believe, yesterday. So we have one more down here, one more 92.17, but we're at least gapping up into a little resistance inside day candle on that too. So I don't think we're going to get too much help from TLT to hold the rest of the market up. We'll see. Let's go to Nvidia. Yeah, let's check out some of the after hours trading because it was a little crazy. A little bit crazy yesterday. Starting with the gap up. And why Nvidia is so important for today is going to be sentiment, I think, for the rest of the market. We have a market where just it's riding the back of Nvidia for quite some time. Everything AI related, everything chip related has been moving and holding steady, even when the rest of the market, I mean, the Qs were a lot stronger than the SPY for a very long time. That mainly is due to Nvidia and mainly around the AI story. And then we finally let the SPY kind of catch up a little bit. So some of the more, I guess, conservative plays, they were starting to rally back. So what happens if we lose Nvidia? I don't know. There's got to be a money rotation somewhere. It does not look like it's into bonds yet. And when I say from Nvidia, I'm talking tech in general. So if tech is like, hey, we need profit taking, it could be a big one. It doesn't have to be a small little profit taking. But the money's got to go somewhere. And Treasury's still offering some decent rates, but TLT is down, so it's not moving there yet. I've seen Altria MO. That's been doing pretty well. 3M's come back a little bit. So some of those rotations are still into some of the money plays, but it will be curious to see if we do lose this. Everything that was said in the conference, again, I understood when he said like hello to everybody, I think. And then so I don't want to and then I kind of lost. I was like, what? I'm confused. But at the same time, it was so like I don't think a lot of investors really probably understood most of what's happening. People who are more techie, and if you look on Twitter, some of those people were able to offer some guidance to the dummies like me out there. It's like I don't know what you're exactly talking about, guy. But he's talking to a crowd at a conference of techie people, so it's not out of pocket for him to use more of the technical jargon that most common people or people that aren't into computers probably understand. That's kind of like me going to a different country and just expecting everybody to speak English. All right, it's not it the the presentation is not for me. I'm just they got video cameras there, and therefore I'm able to watch it. So I don't even mind he was going into a lot of details. For the people that did understand what he was saying, it did seem like it was impressive technology, and it sounds like we kind of have some new later versions of chips coming out, things like that, which overall I think does help the business. And most of the businesses that we've heard in the last conference, where it was more plain English, uh, there was a lot of customers that were like, "Hey, we still have orders out there, and we just can't get them in stock." Right? And to me, that's bullish. The stock has done this in the last few months, just absolutely wild. So could we get a little pullback and continued pullback? Absolutely. I mean, this is an insane run, right? So it's very, very possible we get this bigger pullback that comes into Nvidia. And again, what's the rest of the sympathy on the rest of the market, right? Probably a little cooling off. But this is not a great gap for Nvidia, right? So we do have the last little bit of support was four was 868.52. We are opening below that. We'll have to see if they could bring it back up into that range somewhere higher than that before market. Otherwise, Nvidia does look a little bit short. 853.89 would be the next little support. We've hit that one already. The one after that becomes 847.73. We've hit that one. I got one moving average holding us at 835.41. And then the real next target down is about 820. So that's still about $47 to the downside if we cannot hold here. We have to see where this thing gaps up. And I do think if Nvidia starts to break here, even probably more important than looking at the SPY and Qs today, would be watching just this Nvidia chart because it does have the ability to change a lot of the sentiment. We can't ignore that there is a huge, massive bearish engulfing candle. We're clearly gapping down underneath, not underneath all of it, where I think we're in the very tiny little parachute zone there that we're going to have to really kind of cling on to. But we could see a little bit more of a pullback, and I don't think it's I still wouldn't put it past it that Nvidia will be $1,000 at some point, but we just didn't quite make it. We missed by like $26 up there, so we'll see if there's a little bit of a bigger pullback rotation, and I think that's still a little bit to the healthy side. Leonard mentioned AMD. So AMD probably moving like Nvidia. Yep. So it's a little bit of a, again, just pullback rest period. Again, another stock in the same sector, direct competition to Nvidia. And we are getting a pretty significant gap down on this one as well. So we're back to 183. The highs of this one, we got up to, I mean, briefly, but we got up to 227, I think. So now we're down a decent amount. Right, we're down quite a little bit, but we're opening to some support. This is a retest gap from yesterday. However, I think I'd want to play that green candle a little bit more. Maybe we still get this fade up. So if we get the fade up, I'm looking for like 186.40, and that could be a shortable spot. But we are coming into a decent consolidation spot, right? I think I'd rather stick to Nvidia today over AMD if I was going to take something short. And I don't think Nvidia is still the easiest short yet. The one that actually might be a little bit more interesting to short would be SMCI today. They did it again. Very good timing on SMCI. So they put out yet another offering. The last time they did an offering was not that long ago. It was the convertible bonds. They did it when Nvidia was reporting earnings. Now they put one out pretty much essentially during the conference for Nvidia as well. The big news that everyone's going to be talking about is the conference for Nvidia. Supermicro Computer snuck in another little fundraising event. So we'll see what happens. But this one I think is going to be a little bit weaker than Nvidia. It's already gapping down pretty significantly. This is a retest gap. We are at a little bit of support, so maybe not the first person to short it out of the gate. Again, it's a marathon, not a race, but we do have some resistance coming in, so this would take us up to like 915-ish, something like that. See if that can hold. If not, you're more than likely probably coming for a bigger retest, which would be about 982, which is I don't know that we get there today. So we'd have to see. But I can see us buying it up a little bit more. But again, this is now the second time that they've essentially put out to dilute shares, which is not great for investors. And I think some of the investors will probably start getting a little tired of it. So we'll see what happens. But this one would be probably on my list for a short. If I had to choose, Nvidia would be right up there as well. Just depending on where Nvidia opens, and even SMCI, I'd probably give a couple minutes to just to shake out some of the early morning volatility on it, and we'll see. TGT and PayPal. So Target, TGT. TGT. For day trade purpose, I don't have a lot of great sentiment. Right, we're still inside day, so I'm gonna lose a little advantage there. Now we got to pull out the almighty coin and just take a little flip to see what we want to do. Um, Obviously we've pulled back decent after a very nice gap, so I think this is some profit taking. This is a 3-bar reversal on the daily, so that would look good, right? So if we open up the candle right here, we ended up closing it right here. So let's get creative. Go all Bob Ross. We got essentially a hammer, right? That is also a bullish engulfing candle. That looks good. We got a moving average right down here to hold us up. And this again is quite the gap off of earnings. So great there. Now the question is, again, I think that's more if you're in it, I'd still try to hold it, I think. I'd probably get my stop up, worst case under there if you're in this thing. Um, do we go? How do we take it as a day trade? That's the question. I think you have a slight better risk to reward. Not saying that it's bearish, but to go bearish. So therefore, I would probably just do nothing at open. Wait till this thing kind of comes back, retraces to look around for like 165, 64. That's almost about half the candle that we put in yesterday. So let some profit taking happen. Get it off that support down there. And then again, same spot for the stops, and maybe that could be more swing trade if you're throwing it down there. Otherwise, you might get a little bit better spot uh, to get your stops a little bit tighter for day trade purpose. But yeah, so somewhere around that 165.58. We do have resistance slightly above us as well, 167.76. So even that might be targets for today. If we start breaking, I think 168. Then you have a decent further little move up to 170.20. So that could be decent. But not a lot of huge sentiment, and you probably have a few minutes to decide after that bell rings what the direction is there, or how you want to play it. But I got PayPal. PayPal got a nice close above the 200. We are biggest problem with PayPal, and obviously I own it. So full disclosure, I do have positions in it. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row of buying. We did get finally a little double bottom, almost pennant pattern. This is the break of it. I think it needs to cool off a little bit. I had some leaps that I took out right around one of those days. I've already sold out. I think I sold it out on one of these days over here, so I didn't even hold as long as I possibly could have. Actually, this day when we were at right around that 200, so pretty not far off. But I was already up almost 40% on leaps in that time frame, which is enough for me to take my profit. So I don't have those. I would love to get back into them, but I want to see a pullback. And this is a lot. If you have shares, this might not be a bad time to look for some covered calls. But I think we are starting to get maybe a little bit bullish. We'll see if the rest of the market wants to help. Uh, See how we do around that 200. Otherwise, next support probably somewhere around 62.93. Does that give me good risk reward? I don't know. I'd probably like to see it a little bit lower. I'm not sure to where though. 61, 61.50, 50% retrace with this last move. But the biggest problem with this one is it has had a good couple of days of running. You probably have some people in there that are not as longer term thinking that I personally would be. But a little bit of a gap down. It's not scary to go bearish, but I think it's going to be profit taking if anything. And I think there are some people still looking to probably buy PayPal. Mara, yep. Santilla says crypto's dropping. Santilla says inflation. Mm. The last few CPI and PPI reports weren't great. I will say that. That's good if you have I bonds though. You got Mara. Also, by the way, historically, just since you mentioned before we even get to Mara, um, in terms of inflation, if you go back in history, look at the last 3 months of every single year, and inflation is pretty much flat, pretty much at zero for the last 3 months of the year. Then you have the first 3 months of every year, inflation is usually higher. So I really don't think we're out of the ordinary with the misses on the CPI coming in a little bit hot and the PPI, and their expectations are going to be a little bit lower here in general for the last 3 months. So Yeah, I think inflation, while it is still high and it is still kind of creeping up for this time of year, those aren't really. It's not really too concerning yet, I don't think. Mara is gapping down, still just hanging on though. You have clear support down here, so if you do like Mara long term, I know some people that I've talked to really do like Mara, like they love Mara. But again, crypto's kind of cooling down. Bitcoin is down as well, so that's not going to help Coinbase. We'll take a look at coin after this. But you have a little bit of support down here. So if you're trying to acquire some positions, I could see some bulls trying to do that down here. That would make sense. Um, I don't really see why it would move today unless randomly throughout the day we get some kind of crazy move. You do have a bullish engulfing candle down here, so that's helpful. A little bit of a resting day. The problem so far is that you're really at the bottom of yesterday's range. I would have liked to see this thing open up somewhere above probably 1870. And then we're still just kind of resting, another day of rest, and then we break out from here. So it's a little bit weaker. We still got support on this one down into 1785 to the high side of this thing. I would be looking for rejection around 1860. So maybe a little bit of a quiet day on Mara. But we'll see what happens if we get back down here. If we start breaking 1785, next level down, which we've kind of already seen 1746. I think that could break. The next one takes us to about $17, so somewhere in that range. Let's check out Bitcoin first. Larkin says another day, another dollar. That's what we try for. Thanks for great morning streams. I do what I can for you, Larkin. Just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I do charge. It's a fee of the likes. Bitcoin. Bitcoin is yeah, I'm kind of breaking down a little bit. Support, not yet. We did bounce off support already once. We'll see if we continue down a little bit further. But right now it's 62,900. I think that's about the spot we were talking about yesterday. If we kind of break down, we just kind of was hanging out. Finally get the break. We did get a little bounce in there. Next spot for Bitcoin, again, 62,185. We almost hit that too. So if we start to break, it could get a little crazier. 60,900. After that, it gets a little more wild and people start flushing out the door. So this is 57.83. So we still have a little bit of decent support up in Bitcoin, but if we get a close underneath that last green candle, that's not great sentiment. But again, still, I think just all things considered, it's run a lot and a little pullback would make some sense. Let's see what Coinbase is doing. Cindy wants to take a look at Marvell, so we'll get to that as well. We got Coinbase is gapping down, still at this little bit of support, and you got some moving averages. So I do like it a little bit more short. Probably bounces first though. I would suspect that we get some kind of a bounce to 233.51. I would be leaning a little bit more bearish, but I wouldn't mind attempting that fade if I could get one. Maybe give me like that high wave candle, high wave indecision. If we could get to 233, that's a decent amount of room. And it's almost $9, $8, $9 to the upside first. So I'd probably try to play that for 1.2. So we will keep that on the list to watch. Just to see if we could hold those levels. Marvell. Marvell. I don't think Nvidia mentioned them. I don't know if they got mentioned yesterday. I don't remember. A little bit of support down here. Again, not a great gap though. There has been a decent amount of selling into this gap though. So you had a clear bearish gap and go. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row into some kind of support. You do have a moving average here as well. Again, I'm still a little bit more bearish on it. The fact that we are gapping below this green candle, but probably a fade at the open, I think would make some sense. If we cannot hold onto 64.23, the next level is not that far away, 63.95. If we could break that one, we got a decent trade down to 61.59. So we have two little hiccups on the road. If we could get through any of those, we'd be doing decent. TTD. And again, Marvell, if you're going to trade Marvell, I would also have Nvidia on your screen too. Make sure they're not getting some kind of like crazy strong bounce or something like that. The trade desk, to me, looks like we probably just completed a wave three. So I think if we do get a bounce on the daily, it's probably short-lived, maybe up to like 81, $82. And then we either come down one new lower low, somewhere into this zone 73, something like that. But it's down 10 cents, again, kind of flat for early morning sentiment at least. A little bit of potential hammer, but this is still a red. So even on like a 3 bar type setup, this is still a red hammer, which is not bad. Right? It's not the end of the world, but a little bit of a hammer here. So really, if we're going to make that next pop, and again, I'd still be careful because I think this is wave four that we're probably heading into. But I would almost want to see this big red candle break out first. Then you have your stop down here. Again, for this one, I would be going for like a 1.2 if the risk to reward made sense to target. Because I do think we get one more pullback, hang out for a little bit longer, and then you get your pop if it's going to on trade desk. But valuation is not bad on trade desk down here, I think. They have a lot of debt. That's their biggest thing is they do have a lot of debt. Let's see. Let me go back a little further. What was the high for these guys? Trade desk, well, 113, 114. Yep. So as long as they can clear up some of the debt, longer term might be good. For right now, with the debt that they have, I do want it slightly lower than this, but not bad. And we are definitely off the highs. So we shall see. But we got like 30 seconds until that morning bell rings. Everybody out there on YouTube land, you guys are absolutely incredible. I appreciate you joining us each and every day. Be safe out in the market. Again, maybe today remains a little bit more to the quiet side. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We got the hype over with Nvidia. I don't know what else AI has to look forward to. And that's been the driving story for quite some time in this market. But we forget about AI for pretty much tomorrow as we get back into the rate discussion and seeing kind of how things want to move. But you do have some pretty significant gap downs in tech. Nvidia did already have a little bit of a bounce, so we'll see if that one kind of come back a little bit. Yeah, Snow is going to get killed. Snow was mentioned too, but